the messiness that many of you are thrown in the middle of. It is not our doing, but our tyrant toddler that keeps terrorizing this town through text messages and trashing me. I wanted to convey that I have given my all to this ward, to this city. This is our 65th meeting in 4 years. 65 meetings outside of the regular 2 council meetings a month we have at City Hall. So I've had meetings in churches, meetings outdoors, meetings in restaurants, meetings in the park district, meetings at people's houses, meetings with bands, meetings with good food, meetings with not so good food, meetings with snacks. I tried to be who I wanted to see in leadership. And I don't know if that was enough. Because today, a lady said, oh, y'all just have meetings when it's time to run for office. And I'm like, honey, we've been meeting. We have a block initiative. We have an initiative where we have our pick up after your dog signs. We have a Department of Justice claim that is still open and moved forward with housing and urban development on the criminality of our property taxes. So we are an active board, and I just want to thank those who support me and will continue to support me, and thank you for being here. If you haven't gotten a snack, please do so. I'm going to introduce our next mayor, James Patton.
Yeah.
All right.
Before I do that, and let him speak, because you know he likes to speak. He signed a bunch of stuff, right? One of the things that he signed for us was for Dr. Nyota T. She got one of the last. President and now, Mayor James Patton.
Well, thank you, Alderwoman Wilson. Thank you all for coming out tonight and giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I think I've spoken in front of a lot of you before, so I'm not going to take a ton of time because I'm sure you've heard me say the same thing over and over again for the last several months. But I am J.R. Patton. I am currently the 6th Ward Alderman here in Calumet City. I've been the 6th Ward Alderman for the last 8 years. And I am giving up my seat on the City Council to run for mayor this year. We've got an election coming up, for those of you that don't know, 6 days from right now. I'll be happy to get some sleep 6 days from right now. But the reason I decided to run for mayor is because I love this city. I have spent 8 years on the City Council. I've spent 5 years before that working for the city administration. I ran our Public Works Department for a while. I ran Inspection Services for a while. And I was city administrator for 3 years. And I've spent the last 4 years very frustrated at the direction this administration is taking our city. There's absolutely no reason that our neighbors in Lansing and South Holland, and Linwood, and Homewood, and East Hazel Crest should be thriving while we here in Calumet City suffer. You drive down Torrance, Sibley, River Oaks Drive, whatever, Burnham Avenue in the first ward, every business is boarded up. They're all vacant. Those communities are thriving. They're getting new business and new residents every day. And the only difference is they have responsible leadership in their city government and we do not. We have department heads in this city whose only qualifications are who they're related to or who they're friends with. They have professional, qualified leaders in our neighboring communities. I'm going to put a stop to that practice here. We're going to hire qualified people. We're going to get Calumet City back on the right track. We're going to get residents back in this community. We're going to get business back in this community. And we're going to get things moving in the right direction again because Calumet City used to be the shining star of the Southland. And we're going to get it back there again. So with that, we'll take questions whenever Alderwoman Wilson wants us to take questions. But I just want to say again, thank you very much. If you haven't voted yet, please vote. Early voting is at the library until Monday. And election day is Tuesday. Please vote for me for mayor. Our city clerk, you go to Figs for re-election for city clerk. Ray Clark over here for city treasurer. We've got Alderman Michael Navarrete for first ward alderman again. Obviously, our Alderwoman Wilson. Fifth ward alderman, Juan Gardner, who's not here tonight. And then we've Dr. Garnett Stuckey, who's running to replace me in the 6th Ward, and Melissa Phillips, who's running to be the 7th Ward Alderwoman. So thank you very much.
Yoda T-Pig.
Okay, I'll make it quick. Good evening, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming out, especially in this very, very cold weather. Again, I want to apologize for everything you guys been getting in the mail and the text messages. I'm sure you guys are tired of us. We got 6 more days. Bear with us. It is a battle. So, I've been your city clerk since 2011. And one of the things that I want to say is that I'm qualified to be your city clerk. And at first I had a problem with saying that, but I can't. That's the truth. I'm qualified to be your city clerk. And I was doing it since 2011, and I think that I did a good job. I don't speak about opponents, but one of the things that I like to tell people, because I don't like to be messy, is that my opponent is on the ballot in April to keep her job with no opponent. So my opponent will be the Cook County Assessor in May with no opposition. One of the things that you guys did here in Calumet City is you talked about people double dipping. You talked about people having multiple jobs being paid for them. And you said that you did not want that. So you have to keep that in mind and be fair, because sometimes people like both people, and that's okay. That's not a problem. But sometimes we just have to be fair. So that's one of the things I want to say. In my years of being the city clerk, I have worked with J.R. Patton. He had held a lot of positions, public works in the building department, and city administrator for a short time. One of the things that I know, and now alderman, one of the things that I know is that J.R. Patton will be fair. Everybody don't get along all the time, but you have to be able to work with the people that you may not get along with. That's important in government. Right now, it's politics over people. We need to get people over politics. We cannot do the job that we need to do for you where we're busy fighting each other. And that's just the truth. And there has been a lot of that for 4 years. That is one of the reasons why I endorsed JR. Another reason that I endorse Ms. Aradia Clark over here is because currently we have a budget, and I have suffered these last 4 years with being able to use my budget as the city clerk. And I believe that every elected official is individually elected. No one is no one's boss. And when you compromise your position and your oath to do maybe what the mayor tells you to do, and it may be done in fear. So maybe the current treasurer is fearful of something, but maybe he don't want to be treated like me. That's the reason why I feel that I want to endorse Aradia Clark. I feel that she will be fair and she will follow the rules and regulations. I've sat on this board with Alderman Navarrete. When I tell you, this is the best infrastructure alderman ever. He knows what he's talking about. He knows the businesses in Calumet City. He hit the ground running. I endorse him completely 100%. He's somebody that we need on our team. And of course, the fabulous Alderwoman Monet Smith, who keeps me entertained. That's personal. However, she's very knowledgeable. She's very knowledgeable. She calls me early and late, no respect for time, to figure out what it is she needs to figure out. And so when I tell you that she's excited and passionate about her job as an alderwoman and is always coming up with different ideas and innovative things, I'm like, we doing this again, we having another meeting? So I probably shouldn't say that because she probably has 65 meetings. I was tired at 35, but let her have it. We have Melissa and Dr. Stuckey, and I've known these two women for quite some time. They are hardworking residents in the community. This is a great team. Together, we will be able to work for this city council and put people over politics. That is so important. It is time for us to work for you. Every dollar, dime, penny that we spend is about you. And when our time is somewhere else and it's not focused on you, we are wasting your money. So please get to the polls, have your friends get to the polls, have your neighbors get to the polls, and make sure that you make a conscious decision based upon everything you have seen in this election cycle. Because you've never seen politics like this in Calumet City until this administration. And I know that you all know that. And it's not that we probably didn't have arguments before, it's that they were done appropriately. And they were done decent and in order, and we had disagreements, and then we came together and we found solutions. Please, please pay attention to what's going on. And I pray that you vote the right way. My way. No, I'm just kidding. She's not playing.
I'd like to briefly acknowledge our Deputy Clerk, Quentin Daly. Yes. And First Dude of the Second Ward, Cortland D. Wilson. Episcopal Vicar, Pastor Christopher Montgomery, thank you for opening up. I am to help us. Having said that, I'm going to bring up our next treasurer, who will be our first female treasurer and first African American treasurer, Aradia Clark.
I know I can speak loud, I raised the son. Okay, so, my name is Aradia Clark, and yes, I have been living in Calumet City for 34 years. I grew up at 339 Calhoun, and I bought my house at 402 Calhoun. So I've been out here all my life, raised my son out here, he went to Caroline Sibley, Dirksen, Thornwood, raised them on Calhoun too. So I've been out here all of my life. I have seen the disinvestment. Came out here at a very young age when I would come out here as a young child from the inner city, and we would drive through here to come and visit my grandmother. It was just so amazing to see. All the strip malls and the restaurants and things that were down. I remember Red Lobster used to be on Sibley right there in Dalton. I remember the Ponderosa. I remember all of these things that used to be out here. Like, I've been out here. We used to walk from Halsted to State Line to back when I was a teenager, a young kid going to Dirksen and Thornwood. When I tell you I have friends that was of all nationalities, races, and backgrounds. We had Hmong friends, Mexican friends, white friends, black friends, Jamaican friends, Haitian friends. We had them all. We was out here. So to watch my community that raised me, decline in economic development, decline in home ownership, decline in business development, while I sit and serve as the Rich Township Chamber of Commerce treasurer. So that's the opposite side of us. Those the parks and the fields, right? Olympia Fields, Tilly Park, Richmond Park, Matson, all of those areas that seemingly get all the dollars, they get all the development, they seemingly have a larger, a huge drumbeat of information and resources that seemingly just pour out on them, right? Their elected officials move when the business owners say move. When the residents come together, they move when they say, because they actually appropriate the dollars and put that money into the community. An educated community is an economically stable community. And that's what we're missing out here. Financial resources, financial education, not just a financial literacy class, but who do you go to that appropriates the dollars for the community so you can see that money in your community? Where are the block grants that you can rally to make sure that the streets and the HVAC and the waterways are done? What can you do to make sure that the small business grants are coming down to your community so you can see development in your community? That's what I want to bring as the treasurer of Calumet City. It's what I'm currently doing in the parks and the fields And then I get to come home and see what I see when I drive. And I tell them I serve here, y'all, but I don't live here. I need some of this drumbeat where I live. I talk to the small business development centers and the Southland Development Authorities and the Women's Business Development Center, and I'm like, hey, y'all missing a whole demographic of people, a whole region of people is missing this information that can help us grow so that we can have that leverage, right? We can push our elected officials, our commissioners, the Board of Review commissioners, the electoral board, all these people, when they go to Springfield and they rally for dollars to come to the community, we know who those people are, so we can come back and we can say, where's that? Where's that? But if you're clueless, there's no pushback. If you're clueless, you're not going to hold anyone accountable for the dollars that's been allotted for you. You live in a certain demographic community, yes? That means the government gives you money because of that demographic community, yes? Why is the dollars not being invested? Grant dollars is public information. Do you know how to look that money up? Those are the things that need to be given to you as tools and resources to make sure that the tax dollars you spend can go back to your community. So as treasurer, my goal is to show you where those dollars are, how to get those dollars, how to exercise those dollars to make sure that when you drive through your community, you can see that the ripple effect of you having access to that information. You being able to put that information to work in your community and help sustain it. We had just as many businesses close their doors here in Calumet City than so-called has been open. One of my favorite stores, Smooth Ginger, the smoothie place, a health food store, had to close her doors and go back into her home because there are no resources here. Church, there's a capital infrastructure grant going on right now to help the church rebuild. If you want to buy a building, if you want to expand, the grant money is available now. Does anybody know that? Did you know that the government gives you free assistance to apply? Free assistance to help you get government contracts? Did you know that? It's free. And they're keeping that from you. Why? Because to keep you silent is to keep their back pockets full. So I ask for your vote. If you have not voted, please vote. My goal, and I get on their nerves, I can't let them tell you. My goal is to make sure, and I'm telling y'all, just like I told them, whoever's sitting in or getting in gonna catch it for me. Because we about to be the most educated community in the Southland. Y'all about to get all the sauce. So make sure y'all drop y'all emails with all the women, get it to somebody so I can get it. Because we about to be getting this information to you. You about to know who your commissioners are. You about to know who appropriates the dollars. You're about to know all the programs. You're about to have all the courses, all the information. All you gotta do is show up because it's free.
Can you also tell them about your after hours?
If you are a business owner interested in business, or if you just want to make sure businesses have enough money to share the tax roll with you as a taxpayer homeowner, we have a business after hours that's free at Pete's Sports Bar coming up this Friday. It's free. You're going to have some food. Business owners from the Southland are going to be there so you can collaborate with them. But we want to make sure that we bring the business owner into the community, into the conversation. Because as I witnessed on the opposite side of the Southland, the business owners are in the room, the state reps are in the room, the mayors are in the room, the high schools are in the room, the community colleges are in the room, the universities are in the room, the senators are in the room, the commissioners are in the room. They're all in the same room. Every surrounding community, Matson, Tinley Park, Lincoln Field, Richmond Park, all of them, they're in the same room, pushing the region forward. They're all in the room. I got pictures.
To piggyback off of what she's saying about the closing businesses, I
Yes.
was alerted this morning that the Hive will be closing on Sibley.
No
The Hive,
resources.
they're the smoothie and meal replacement, she
All
is,
the healthy stuff is gone.
yeah. I'm gonna bring up the man that sits to my right on council. He keeps the numbers in order for me. The infrastructure expert. I would like to leave the first line of businesses that is for the mail association. Alderman Michael Navarrete. Yeah, don't, he haven't said nothing for y'all to give him all that glory.
Thank you, Monet, thank you, JR, clerk, and treasurer. I'm not really good at being, I guess, public speaking and being in front of an audience to talk about election. I'll just say the facts, right? I look at things, right, read them, and just kind of take it in and try to make the best decision that I can. It's hard sometimes, not everything's black and white. We get a lot of things to read. Every 2 weeks, we have a regular city council meeting. We have 600 pages of supplemental information that goes with every agenda item that's on there. Also with a bill list of about 300 items sometimes. An Excel sheet, so it's a lot to look at. It's a lot to look at, find backup for and review. So I try to do my best to look at and try to make the best decision. When I was first elected,
Wow, I didn't have to use a mic and Mike does? That's gotta be a first.
This working. Thank you. Okay, so since I became alderman, I kind of focused on a lot of economic development initiatives. When I grew up here in the 90s, Burnham Avenue was thriving, River Oaks was thriving. We had a thriving Little League baseball team for the youth, and I was involved in all those things, right? So we had 3 Catholic churches. I attended St. Victor School when it was around. We no longer have any Catholic schools in town. So we look at housing. I'm kind of focused on what's going on economic development-wise and what's going on with the housing. How can we get more population in these vacant houses filled and back on the tax rolls? So my background is civil engineering. I specialize in environmental industrial cleanup. So power plant demolitions, steel mill demolitions, kind of design and oversee those types of demolitions. And a lot of the time those things are being demolished and there's a huge development that goes in its place. So I kind of understand the process and kind of how things need to go. Also being raised, my mother was lucky enough here to raise us here and not have to work. So I had a stay-at-home mother. So we were very frugal growing up. So when I look at our economic development fund and our TIF funds, and I see, that we have, 4 or 5 million in those funds, I want to make sure that we get the best bang for the buck when we spend those. So the first 4 years as alderman, I spent designing, commissioning studies for Burnham Avenue, for State Street, and just the town center in general in the first ward. The first ward was the original Calumet City, West Hammond back then. So it's very old infrastructure, and that's why you see a lot of the city services there, the VFW, the post office, Memorial Park, a lot of resources in the first ward there around City Hall. That was the original Calumet City, and it grew to the west and it grew south. So a lot newer neighborhoods here in the 2nd Ward and 6th Ward. You see that newer housing, more uniform housing, where it's a little different in the 5th and 1st Ward, near St. Andrew Church and St. Victor Church. You see a lot of older housing stock, vacant homes and vacant lots. So what we did in the first term, with the support of the City Council, was commission the Burnham Plan. Has 8 recommendations. Commission the Burnham Plan. Has 8 recommendations. You can find it on the city's website. Lane diet similar to Ridge Road was one to try to recreate that downtown feeling. To start acquiring properties along Burnham Avenue. The biggest issue with Burnham Avenue is that a lot of the businesses have back taxes. So a business owner is not going to spend $200,000 to clear the back taxes and then have to invest another $100,000 to bring the building up to code, and then have to pay a significant amount of property taxes. to have the business there. So the businesses, once they get to a certain point of back taxes, are never going to have anyone come buy them, right? With $200,000, $300,000 in back taxes, no one's ever going to buy that property. So what we looked at with doing was setting up a framework and an infrastructure through ordinances to create, to acquire these properties through an abandonment process. We could act as a land bank. Now we found that it costs the city about $10,000 to acquire a property. So we can purchase this property now for $10,000 in legal fees to clear the deed, and now the city has the deed. And now we can convey that to a business owner with an agreement that they're going to bring this building up to code within a year. And we can offer them a Class 8 tax incentive, which at least support that for the Cook County, so they can get half off their property taxes. Right, so that's the framework and the system that's going to work, right? To re-engage business owners and developers to want to come to Calumet City. The issue is we're not allowed to communicate with our economic development department. You know, we do have an economic development director right now that's temporarily appointed by the mayor. It's been a year and a half. The mayor has slow played trying to do a search for a new economic development director. We have approved the search for a new economic development director, but it's been 8 months now, and we still have not been able to pay the first payment to start that process. Again, it's very important, right? We have $4 million, we had $8 million in economic development funds, $4 million through bond, and $4 million through our tips. That was 4 years ago when this administration started. Now we have $4 million left. $4 million of economic development funds were spent, and I'm not quite sure where it was spent on. Where did we spend $4 million at? And I'm just afraid that another 4 years of this, we'll have $0 in economic development funds and won't be able to attract any developer or give them any funds to build any kind of substantial development. So we have to be very cautious in how we spend this money. That's the whole point of commissioning studies and getting community engagement to say, hey, these are the recommendations for Burnham Avenue. There's 8 of them, but we engaged in hundreds of residents and did a bunch of meetings. We had a lot of engineers and urban planners look at this at universities and through CMAP and all the agencies here in the government, in the state and in Cook County, and they all agree on these recommendations. Why have we not executed any of these recommendations over the last 8 years? Green Alleys was one of them, right? But we all know who took credit for that. And again, not that the Green Alley is not important, but there's also there's a lot of important other recommendations in there, like buying up Burnham Avenue and clearing the back taxes and making sure we engage with developers to make sure that we can redevelop and make economic sense for them to come, right? The State Street plan, the same thing. We all know State Street's filled with potholes. We all know that that's the worst street in town. It's a state-owned road. The State Street plan started in the first ward just to rebuild the first ward. It's not rated for truck traffic, but a lot of semi-trucks are on that road because we have a lot of light industrial business on State Street. So, for good or bad, right, that turned into a much larger regional project. So now we are going to replace, the state's going to replace from State Line Road all the way to the expressway, State Street. So it became just a stretch in the first ward to now stretching the entire length, which is a good thing. But now it's more engineering, more planning. We got an $800,000 grant. WSP engineers were granted that to do a study for a full interchange now. So it's only a half interchange on State Street, Dalton Road. So you'll see a full interchange now on Dalton State Street Road, and also State Street being rebuilt. Again, a good thing, but again, that's now 2-3 years in the future now that we'll start to see that State Street project happen. The biggest thing now on State Street, we just got awarded $4 million for the State Street plan also to clear out trees and create new land with infrastructure with sewer and water so that more businesses can come. We have HB Taylor back there underneath the Burnham Bridge, if you're familiar, and Jalita down there. They've all committed to expand their operations now, so we'll have more jobs there, and they'll be expanding their operations on State Street. So the vision for State Street is to be light industrial, food processing. We lost Meat by Linz, but we were able to work with them, and they were able to be good community partners. They found a replacement before they left. So Reyes Meats now is going to be going into the Meat by Linz location, and they're the same kind of meat processing business that was there. But again, we have to be able to collaborate to do these things. And we have to be able to talk about these things, and we have to be able to understand exactly how much money we have. We don't have $190 million in grants over the last 4 years. I don't know where that number came from. No one can tell me where it came from, but when we pass our budget, every year, there's a line, a section that says intergovernmental revenues. And we get about $2 to $3 billion a year, which is good, under the 2 administrations I've been a part of over the 8 years I've been all over. We get the CALS grant every year. It's a federal grant, $1 million for the police department, right? It's something that we just get every year that the police department gets. So that's $1 million, and then we get, $3 million, just depending on what grants we apply for that year. But again, we have to be able to, again, spend this money wisely and be able to communicate and collaborate on how we're going to spend this money, what's the best way to spend the money, right? When you're not allowed to talk to the Economic Development Department, when you're not allowed, to talk to the Commissioner of Public Works, when you're not allowed to talk to any department heads unless the mayor approves you to talk to them, and if he doesn't like you, then he never approves you to talk to them, how are we supposed to collaborate and make things happen? Under Mayor Michelle, in my first term, I disagreed with her on things, right? She would beg me to vote on things and I wouldn't. But the very next day I would walk into City Hall, I'd peek in her office, she'd be talking to someone, she would kick them out and bring me in there and we talk about the next issue that's facing the city. For me to disagree with this man and not be allowed now to even go upstairs into City Hall as an alderman, not allowed to go upstairs and talk to the Economic Development Department or the Purchasing Department or the Mayor's office, and I can only stay downstairs and talk and go into the Treasurer's office or the Clerk's office. It's a toxic environment, right? It's an environment where we're siloed, right? We can't get things done, right? I look forward, I look forward to working with JR. I look forward working with qualified folks that we can collaborate with, that we can get good ideas, engage the community, and put out facts, because it's not all roses all the time. Right, we have tough decisions to make, right? We all agree on one thing, is public safety, right? That's something everyone always agrees on. But it's hard, we've approved to hire 18 more police officers, we have, right? But we can't hire them quick enough that they're retiring, right? But we're trying our best, right? So we are up police officers, we all support those types of things. We can come together on public safety. But issues like economic development and the funds that we have, right, it's a slippery slope. If we can't attract developers or business owners, and we can't get more population, and we can't get this housing figured out and businesses to come back in, and we can't highlight the good things about the city, then we're going to be in a really, really bad spot in 4 years, right? And it scares me a little bit, right? We could be very, very good if we all work together and we can be honest with each other and just talk and have conversations and spend money wisely, right? And that's all I want to do, and I think this team will support that, and I'm excited for this team, and I really hope that everyone comes out to vote. I'll just leave with saying one last thing. It shocks me to say that people come out, 10,000 residents come out to vote for the president, and only 3,000 people come out and vote for the mayor and the city council. The mayor and city council has more impact on your lives than the president does, I would say, especially right now.
There's always the ones that say they don't talk a lot. So the couple of things that I heard him say, and he was an integral part of the state road. So if you've gone down State Street, you've lost a tire, almost lost a tire, or fallen in the ditch of a pothole. So that's coming. A lot of what you see being fixed are legacy projects. Those are things that he worked on with Mayor Michelle in 2017, 2018, 2019. And it's just coming to fruition now. And it's like you doing some work around your house and then selling your home, and a new homeowner is showcasing all the work you did. That's what's happening here. We haven't had anything done under this current administration. My colleagues have been very nice. I'm not so nice. The clerk, her opponent is the Thornton Township assessor right now. And we voted where we do not want a state representative to also be a mayor. Do we want a township assessor being our city clerk? You assess levies or pretend to assist us with our taxes on our properties. She's also on the Cook County Abatement Board. If you look at your tax bill, there's an abatement tax for that. She's on the school district, local 149, so if you're on my side of town, she's on that school board, there's a tax for that. You're already levying taxes on these two boards, plus you're the assessor, now you want to get a city clerk? We have to say no. No, we do not remove people out of their offices just because you may like somebody. You keep people in their office because they are doing the job. My opponent is the Economic Development Director he spoke of. Well, she is the Chief of Staff for State Representative now. She's the Library Board President. We have a library with notebooks. She's the president of the Small Business Chamber of Calumet City. We don't have anything. But the most important thing is she co-signed those slanderous, nasty letters with her face on it that came to our mailboxes. I don't argue with black women in politics. I do not argue with black women, period. I would never put my face on something that was slanderous like that. But she was okay with it. And that entire slate was okay with it. I am going to bring up the next alderwoman of the 6th ward, Dr. You have to say it like that, Dr. Bernadette Stuckey. When I was sworn in 4 years ago, I made it a point to say I am the first, but I will not be the last. And I will support women who want to venture into this male-dominated atmosphere. It's not easy. But Dr. Stuckey is up to the challenge. Come on, Dr. Stuckey.
Good evening, everyone. I am very excited to be here. I'm very excited to talk to you tonight. I just want to share a little quick story about myself. In 1997, I was driving down Arthur Street in Calumet City with my realtor, and he pulled into the prettiest house on the block, and I looked at that house, and my daughter, who was she's getting ready to start high school, she grabbed my arm and she said, I want this house. So I made sure she got that house. And every day after I got home, after work, and I'd come home and I turned down from 159th Street onto Arthur, I had this sense of calm, this sense of peace. And over the years, that sense of peace has been less and less and less. One morning, around 8 o'clock in the morning, a young guy came up my driveway and he shot at the house behind mine. And I just have this feeling of unsafe. I don't like that feeling. I want to feel safe again in my community. And so I started asking questions, like, what happens between the birth and the bullet? Is there some program, some intervention that we can implement that can redirect our youth in Calumet City so that they can see a way out of their situation, whether it's poverty, violence, wherever they are, can we show them a way that is better? That is one of the questions that I ask. And when I think about this team, all of the skill sets that you have been shared, with you tonight, I would just add my own. And as a social worker and a community psychologist, I am very good at building relationships. I am very good at anticipating what is needed in the community for our families. And I have this vision of a team approach. In my ward, I think that we should move as a team. Just like this team here, moving together as a team gives us the strength that is needed to do the things that we want to do, to achieve the things that we want to achieve, and to give back the safety that we all once felt.
That's my vision.
Bite off of our vision of weed, but we don't let it happen. Next up is, with a promise to be present, the next 7th Ward Alderwoman, Melissa Phillips.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Phillips, and I am running for the 7th Ward Alderwoman. When I first decided to run, I was excited, but I'm even more excited now. I can say I've been a resident of Calumet City for 30 years. I've raised 8 children within Calumet City. I have 11 grandchildren that live in Calumet City. Well, not all of them, but they live in Calumet City too. So my why was just like all theirs. I've lived here for most of my adult life, and I've seen the good, seen the bad, seen the ugly. Running has brought more of the ugliness into my eyesight, and I don't like it. And I'm a little emotional because I know what these people are trying to do, and I want to be a part of that too, because I think Calumet City could be amazing, because we were amazing up until 40 years ago. So why can't we get that now? Well, it's because of the administration that's there now. I'm gonna ask everyone here to please, if you haven't voted, go out and vote. If you know someone that has not voted, please, I'm begging you to have them go out and vote, because we've got to get that current administration out. Because if we don't, it'll be worse than it is now. So I am a little emotional, so I'm gonna end with, I promise to be present. I promise to be the voices that everyone needs. And I want to bring back the unity in the community.
That is.
Second Ward, a little too much. What I heard was, the alderwoman no longer has to be the emotional one, because 7th Ward Alderwoman is going to be that person. Yes, I'm excited. I thank you for your passion. And I believe this is the team to bring civility back to governance. You don't have to be disagreeable just to disagree. You don't have to be at war because we have differences of opinion. Our elected duty is to protect the purse of this city, which are your dollars. So if you don't want jazz on the grass every other Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you don't want $67,000 in turkeys, you don't want $52,000 in a newsletter full of pictures, like we can't read words, then that's what we are here to do, be your voice for that. Alderman Patton wanted to say some more words. As he comes up, I do want to acknowledge independent candidate for Thornton Township Supervisor Nate Fields. Now, I acknowledge everybody that puts their hat in the ring to serve us. So if any of the candidates were here, I would announce them as well, but I wanted to make sure that I spoke. We see you, Nate Fields.
I want to say one more thing, because as my colleagues got up here and spoke, something else dawned on me. There was a lot of talk about civility and truth, and I spoke earlier about responsible government, and I would like to say I apologize to all of you as well. You all have been subjected to 6 weeks of some really nasty stuff back and forth, and I'm going to take ownership for the part that we have played, my campaign has played, in fueling into some of that, right? So when my wife and I sat down 11 months ago and started talking about the possibility of me running for mayor, the first thing we had to do was sit our then 5 and 12-year-old sons down and say, if Dad decides to do this, you guys need to understand that you may see some very nasty, very untrue things said about your father. I shouldn't have had to do that to my kids, but that's the way it is, because I knew who I was running against. When we got into the heat of things, Things that have been said about me for the last 4 years have been said. If you guys get the mayor's text messages, you've seen it. I'm not going to repeat it, and I'm not going to dignify it. I'm also not going to stand here and say the Irish side of me hasn't gotten my back up a couple times and snapped back. But the difference is the things I say are true. They may be a little bit nasty or snarky at times, but they're true. When I say things like, I live here, the mayor doesn't, it's true. I do live here, and for anybody that wants to question that, as I've told everybody as I've gone throughout the city, come home with me tonight. I'll show you the dishes in the sink the 13-year-old was supposed to do 2 nights ago. You can help me finish them. But I know it's been a long election season. There's been a lot of mail back and forth. There's been a lot of texts back and forth. It's very important to me that we tell the truth during these times, and at times the truth's not pretty. So for me, not only do I have to tell the community who I am, I also at times have to point out what's going on and why we need to replace the mayor and why we need a new direction forward. Sometimes that might come out and sound angry. Sometimes that might come out and sound mean. I don't intend it to be that way. I don't intend to get in a food fight in the cafeteria in front of the whole community. So if anything I have said or our campaign has put out has tired you or offended you or made you feel like this has got to stop, I don't want to be a part of this nastiness. I apologize for that. But thank you again all for coming out and giving us the opportunity tonight.